morning, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live. It's Drive Safe Dave here, along with Buckle Up Bob. Sir Rick is out on assignment, digging up the news and finding new ways to be safe all across the country. He will return, I believe, either tomorrow or the next day, but it doesn't matter. We're here, and we've got some exciting stuff going on today, Bob. One of the things you just told me, how many days till Christmas?
73.
73 days till Christmas. So if you're wondering
Get Drive Safe Dave?
If you're wondering what to get Drive Safe Dave, the trucks are running, and you can ship early and send them to me directly here at BCB Live. It's okay. We will take T-shirt entries. We will take all kinds of entries for Christmas, but letting you know it's coming soon, and let's get prepared. I will tell you that yesterday I watched the president make his big announcement that he has figured out how to cure the supply chain bottlenecks in this country. And he did say that he announced that yesterday that 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, they are going to operate the Port of LA and Long Beach. So they're going to run those during off-peak hours and stuff. And he did say that he had worked with UPS, FedEx, and Walmart, some of the largest shippers in the United States, to make sure that they would focus on off-peak hours and minimize the congestion. I watched a really interesting article yesterday on the news, and one of the most fascinating things was that those draymen that run into the port to pick up those containers to bring them out, they're running into lines of as long as 8 hours.
Wow.
To get one load, just one load to run across town to a distribution warehouse. So they're trying to get the containers. So not only is the congestion out at sea that what we see, but it's also out on the street, and it is taking up and eating up a lot of their time. So there's a lot going on, and I think an off-peak hour operation, also getting to the distribution warehouses, will be very helpful in that start to flow off of the port in those goods that come in into the port.
Yeah, and I read an article the other day, just recently, that chip shortage ain't going away. In fact, we've had others, and I didn't know that. You know, we had a big one in '84, and I believe, or '80 and '84, Motorola survived it, but did not survive the '99 chip shortage. So this has happened before.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that.
Yeah, so as demand and supply struggle with one another to try to keep up, you know, along with that interesting interview with the Secretary of Treasury yesterday, it was fascinating to understand how we have moved much of our money, each of us in the United States. We don't know it, but even a small 0.5% or even 1% of all of us moving our money from a service to a good makes for a drastic change nationwide and also the global economy when we move our expenditures from those services to the goods. And it makes a really, really impact. And I think that's what we're seeing here across the country when these goods are trying to come in. We're not spending our money on services. And we've all complained about services, right? Whether you go, how people aren't back to work, and how you go out to eat, and how you, so you're not spending that money on services, right? Yeah, what's up?
Well, to kind of go off of that, services right now also, a lot of people are just not working in services. It's not paying as much as it should, I guess, for a lot of people, especially waiting tables and things. People are getting angry at waiters and service industry people, so nobody's tipping, and therefore the waiters don't want to work and the waitresses don't want to work. But with the pressure increasing on the current administration to fix the supply chain crisis, do you see the hours of service exemptions coming down the pipeline, similar to the disaster relief exceptions that are already on the book?
No, I don't think that the hours of service rules will change because of a supply chain issue. I don't see that. That's more of a safety deal to put. You don't want drivers out on the road running. I get during emergency situations when you have hurricanes, when people's lives are in danger, but because they don't have their Pac-Man or their whatever it is that their Xbox, or not, I didn't mean Pac-Man. I didn't mean to say Pac-Man.
Well, this does also extend to medical equipment and things
no,
like
and
that
I
as well.
truly,
So I think
get
to minimize that.
No, I understand that, but I don't think that we're to that point yet where we can compromise, right, Bob? You would say, I don't think we're to the point
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, it could if it gets really, we know it's going to get worse. We just don't know how much worse, it's going to get. And, and I always wonder, for years we've outsourced certain things, right, to get it. Because I read an article where there's a company in Taiwan that holds 50% of these, is responsible for 50%
yeah.
of the world's chip manufacturing. And I'm wondering, hey, all these countries start outsourcing because they can't produce it cost effectively in their country, and now it's coming back to bite them because this guy has a or this country has a monopoly, basically.
Well, they're also suffering a pretty heavy supply chain issue as well right now, and that's why they haven't really been able to give us chips and give the world chips. Is it takes a lot of time to actually make these, and they're also being hit by COVID right now. So with a shortage of workers and people not being able to go in, it makes it a little bit harder to actually make those chips. I don't know if it's necessarily a monopoly problem, more so as us just not already having the infrastructure in the U.S. to go ahead and build these ourselves in the event of a supply chain shortage.
And let's be honest, our and I think this all falls back to a lot of the ideology where we have, when you talk about outsource, but we have focused a lot of our goods in certain areas, in China being one of those imbalance of trades that we have had over the years, and that also is applicable to the chips out of Taiwan, and it can be any number of things, right? And back in the 70s, we saw that with OPEC and the imbalance of trade with oil and things like that. So historically, we see these things happen over time. It's not a flip of the switch and then all of a sudden, it's something that grows into this monster. And then when we have an issue like this, it comes to light. And I think we're trying to do something about it. I think we will figure it out. I think it's going to happen. But let's be honest, it is something that we have to understand, that if we want to do these things, we have to invest in them early, just like we do with the infrastructure that we've been talking about, how it plans out over time. We have to invest in these things and these services and these goods here if we want them to be here. And we have to do that collectively in business because, one of the things that I think the U.S. has a difficult with is that we aren't cheap labor, right? We just aren't. And I think that affects us, but we can beat that. I think our farms have proven that out over time because we've used technology to become the greatest farm producing country, and that can be cheap labor as well. Yeah, well, go ahead.
Well, and I do respect that. We are a very cheap farm labor country, and food is readily available here for the most part. I will say our labor does get expensive when it comes to technology, production, things like that. So if we are to start doing everything domestically, we are going to have to be ready to bear that inflation cost. And as we're already seeing right now,
I understand.
So that's something we're going to have to kind of bunker down for as we move into.
The goods and services, if we want them here and we want them, we have to pay for. 7-Eleven has been successful over years, not because it's been over, some of the goods and services. And I don't mean that or let's just say a convenience store. I didn't mean to call out 7-Eleven, but what I meant was a convenience store can be pricier because of convenience, right? Because of what it is, because you want to be able to run in and run out, and that's what it is. But I will say that it was announced yesterday that John Deere is going on strike. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
John Deere is going on strike, and I think there's several of them going on strike. They are up in Des Moines. They are going to go on strike, and they are going to seek higher wages and not only better pay, but also better benefits. They referenced the success that their counterparts in the UAW had out in, North Carolina at Volvo, and they referenced their success, and they continue to want the similar type of package deal that they had received out there, being the UAW. So they're doing that. And I think, Dylan, also you announced, the producer, that General Mills was also going to be going on strike. Different union. I believe that is the Food Workers Union going on strike at the General Mills facility. So I think I have figured out the answer to the General Mills, right, Dylan? Well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say I've been covering that on the afternoon show quite a bit and kind of following that. It actually is following more so the branch of, and I forget the name, we were talking about it, but essentially a branch of General Mills that makes cereal. and that's the plant specifically that is striking right now. I believe it's in North Carolina as well.
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes are on strike right now to get down to
Frosted
the
Flakes are on strike. Well, I will tell you,
what will the cocaine people do?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll just have to ship our Frosted Flakes from Colombia and
another outsource.
So I will tell you one other thing before we get out of here. I did see that the mafia. There was an article on the mafia that they had their new generation of mafiosos. They're finding new techniques. No longer will they strong arm you, Bob, and pistol whip you and hit you and point a gun at you. They're going to no more of this going on. Producer, what are they doing now in order to threaten you?
Well, a lot of what's going on right now, I'll be honest with you, these old mafiosos are getting a little bit tired of this new generation. You know, we hear it all the time. My generation always gets blamed for stuff, and now we're getting blamed for not having a stern mafia. So the mafiosos in New York have been accused by veteran mobsters of going soft and becoming obsessed with their phones and using text messages instead of their fists to deal with all of their victims.
So they're sending threatening messages with their phones. And, you know, hey, buddy, I don't want to have to text. This is my second time to text you. There better not be a third.
Maybe they could get direction from the Singapore government, right?
So there was actually an official court document that came out, right, from a mobster that did get captured. So according to a court document from New York relating to a recent extortion plot in the city, one alleged gangster involved sent his victim, a union official, a message saying, and I quote, "Hey, this is the second text. There isn't going to be a third."
So a little strong arm with the phone. Got a little strong arm with the phone, and
what are they gonna do with the chip shortage when they can't do that?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, you're gonna have phone, but I'll tell you what. It is I truly believe that with the new technology and new ways, you know, the mafia in the crime families in New York, they've really taken a bad hit over the years and really been, well, what I mean, you know, and a pun, right? There's a nice pun. And they've
There's
really,
a good hit?
they're not anything like they were in the 70s, 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. They're really not.
And because of that, now all their kids are growing up in these wealthy suburbs. And with
Yeah.
all this, they're just soft
They're
now.
video gamers.
They're video gamers. Yeah.
Jimmy Hoffa?
No, they did not find Jimmy Hoffa.
I think that's where all these Twitch numbers are coming in now with all the high-paying people. Maybe that's how they're funneling money through now.
Oh, absolutely.
is
And
through
one other story that I found really weird before we get out of here, Bob, is in Norway, 5 people were killed by an attack with a guy with a bow and arrow. Producer, what? I mean, this guy basically just went on a rampage with a bow and arrow and started shooting people in Norway with. I mean, I know they have gun laws there; they're very strict, but I guess they found another way to just mass kill people, right?
Yeah, well, essentially what had happened was police responded to a man who had a very long list of criminal history. We went over it briefly before the show, but to fill it in, there were acts of threatening his parents to kill them. He had a restraining order put on him for that. He was arrested for burglary as well as drug possession previous to this. So a few people around the neighborhood in Norway did see a man shooting arrows around the neighborhood and, you know, being concerned as this is a normal suburb. You know, you're not going to be shooting arrows
No, you shouldn't
outside.
be.
You shouldn't be. Police responded to that, into which, as soon as police arrived, the man started shooting these bows and arrows at civilians and at people coming up to him as well, killing 5 and injuring 2. 2 of those are in decent condition, I believe, according to the article I read on the Associated Press. But it is unfortunate. He is in custody now. He didn't get away with his bow and arrow and go into the woods like Robin Hood or anything.
No,
He is in custody,
No.
but it is a pretty terrible thing that did happen.
No, not playing cops and robbers, but cowboys and Indians, right? Is that what we're doing out in Norway? Yeah, that's not good. But I'll tell you what, we'll be right back after this break, and we will talk to you a little bit more about safety. back, and we've got a couple of things that we're going to talk about. There was it doesn't really pertain to, several companies, but there was in trucking, there was a hazmat blitz that went on by the FMCSA. And you know what? There were a lot of violations that they found over the blitz period of 5 days. And most of those had to do with either small packages and or their containment and also paperwork, making sure that the right bill of lading matched the right information inside the box. As we talk about hazmat, it's a very real thing out there on the road, and there's a reason hazmat is done this way. There's a reason we make sure it's placarded correctly, and this is applicable across the board whenever you do transportation. You must, Bob, right?
Yes.
Your bill of lading must be accessible, and you must have that readily to be given to a DOT officer. It doesn't matter if it's hazmat or not. You must have a proper bill of lading with whatever you're transporting.
That is true. And if you're in the hazmat, those carriers out there that are hauling hazmat, one of the great rule of thumbs is take your emergency response booklet, stick that paperwork right there. When that officer asks for it, hand it. But remember, that bill of lading cannot be handwritten on a hazmat load.
Nope.
It cannot be, right? The hazmat has to be spelled correctly, and you have to have that UN number. So and then the paperwork has to be marked hazmat or dangerous, and then there also has to be an emergency response number on that paperwork.
Correct.
So you have to have all that plus your signature. And so just kind of remind you of that. And then what many don't know is, hey, if you delivered a live unload hazmat, get the placards off. It is a big fine to haul an empty trailer placarded still with what the previous hazmat was. And especially if it gets on the rail, if it's rail cars, there's an automatic $10,000 fine for putting an empty rail car on the train with a hazmat sticker.
Absolutely.
Placards on it.
And there's reasons for that, because they don't want to respond to a container with a chemical when it's an empty container.
Yes.
And you know what? Every carrier, has to be understanding and knowledgeable, and drivers have to be knowledgeable that even if your company doesn't pull hazmat at all, if for some reason, those flip placards that go on the side, if that flips over and it demonstrates a hazmat load, you are in violation of federal law. And you are in violation of law. You do not, no matter what. That's why it's very important you pre-trip your trailer. Very important you pre-trip what you're doing, and you look at and make sure no hazmat placard is ever on any load if you are a non-hazmat carrier. And if you are a hazmat carrier, make sure that you're placarded correctly each and every time, because we talk about it, and we want to make sure that we communicate well, right? That's what we're doing. And when you placard a container, or you placard a trailer, or you placard, you're communicating what's inside the box. You're communicating what dangers may be there in case there's an accident. Look, God forbid you're in a wreck, but if you are and you're incapacitated and unable to speak, they want to make sure they know what's in the box, because they don't want to endanger emergency personnel, first responders, or anything like that when they come to a scene of an accident, and understand what's in the box. Because, I'm telling you that I've pulled hazmat before, and you don't want to endanger people around you when you have corrosives or explosives or flammables or any of these other things that endanger your ability to perform. What's in the box? Yeah, I see that. That's pretty funny, but I'll tell you, what is that? 7 Sins? What is that, from 7 Sins? Yeah, great put.
Well, and it's important. We at BCB don't haul the hazmat. So, but drivers out there, you don't have to know all the hazmat rules. What you have to do is identify it. Many times you're handed your paperwork and you just take off, right? You really need to look at that paperwork. If you see a UN number on that paperwork, you got to call in and raise your hand, because we are not licensed to haul it. And customers can put a pallet of hazmat on a trailer and not, maybe inadvertently. And so even though you don't have to be hazmat certified, you still have to know just the one warning sign, right? Read that product description. And if you see a UN number on there, you got to raise your hand and call in.
Yeah, what you got?
Yeah, we got Howard Watford on the line. What do you got for us, sir?
What's going on, Howard?
There's a couple items there that y'all mentioned that aren't 100% true, because there are times when you have a tanker that stays placard even when it's empty, such as nitrogen pumps nitrogen tanks because that's
correct.
all they're used for. And they weren't never 100% empty. You'll have to change your BOL, say residue or something along that, or
That is,
approximate
those
foot
are
pounds
yeah.
or how much you have in there. And also, your paperwork when you're driving is supposed to be in the pocket in your door, so that if there's an accident or when a trooper shows up, that's the first place they can go when they see that placard to see how much was in there to make sure there was no spill. And if there was a spill, they can estimate how much.
Yep.
In case the driver's unconscious or anything else.
Yeah, the only reason
there are times when they stay placarded.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I just meant when.
Go ahead.
And I agree. Thank you very much. Yeah, residue is a placarded vehicle, and yeah, you're 100% correct on that. I just meant during transporting of you can't demonstrate placards when you're not hauling a non-hazmat load. There will be times when you do have hazmat on your trailer that meet the minimum requirement of that you can haul if you're non-hazmat, whether it be a packaged product like, let's say, a small pallet of bleach or something like that, and it does meet the packaging minimum requirement under the hazmat rules that you are allowed to pull. But I'll tell you, it's really important. Yeah, that pocket, that BOL should be in the left-hand pocket. Because of that, I've always had a habit of keeping the bill of lading there at all times anyway. Always did, and always will continue to do so. There are times when the cab is inaccessible and you can't read any. There is no door left on the cab. Mm-hmm. So in an accident, and yes, I agree. That's why it's important that the container be placarded. And for other reasons besides just.
Yeah, you're right. The exception is the empty containers, but we're talking about trailers that don't have anything in them that did. But like you said, if you've got nitrogen gas bottles and you're hauling them and they've been empty, it's kind of the same with batteries. If you're hauling dead batteries, there's still some corrosive acid left in them, and so a lot of times they have to be placarded. So yeah, great point there, Howard.
Yeah, dude, and you know what? Anytime you have an opportunity to correct us up here, please call in or send a message, because yes, you are the experts. Yes, you do know what's going on, and we are willing to learn each and every moment up here at the show. It is by Bob. Let's talk reality. It is Thankful Thursday. It is an opportunity that we say thank you to every driver. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for what's going on. Look, I just want to say to everybody, today's a day in which we have the chance, the opportunity, and the privilege to make sure that we focus on appreciating what it is you do out there. We take for granted sometimes all the things that we have in our lives. And one of the things that we take for granted is all of the goods that we get every single day, whether it be at the grocery store, whether we go out to eat, whether we go to the store or what have you. All of that material, all of those goods that we go out and purchase and we have access to is at the result of the hard work that truck drivers do out there on the road each and every day. And we don't want to forget that. We don't want to lose focus of that. Look, we're appreciative every single day, but today we make mention of it. Today we make sure that we say it out loud. And today is a day in which we ensure that you know that we know you are wonderful. How's that?
Yeah, we are very thankful.
So how many days, Bob, are we at?
We are at 34 without a backing accident, and we are one day away from the big 150. Tomorrow we at 150 with preventable DOT reportable accident streak. And a special shout out to our drivers who have willingly agreed to test some of the new technology. We are getting some amazing video footage. This technology, folks, is just phenomenal. I mean, it literally says 0.7 seconds to hit, which basically says you're 0.7 seconds following too close, And so it gives it right there on the camera screen when we watch it. We get an alert, click to view the alert, and we get it right away. It's just remember, folks, yes, you're going to get called and you're going to get warned, by the device itself. But this is all to become safer, right? Many times what we appear to be 3 seconds isn't 3 seconds at all, right? We're not good judges of the distance and the speed that's in front of us, and we've seen that. So this technology is going to be great because it's going to tell you that you're within 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And, we need to get to that 3 second or longer level to have the ability to avoid all accidents. Remember, we're not focusing on fault. We're focusing on preventability. That has to be the shift in culture as we move forward, and get rid of some of these lawsuits. They can't happen if we don't have an accident, right? And nobody dies if we don't have an accident. So it's great technology. It's just really phenomenal. The clarity of the pictures, the framing, right? It frames in red if you're too close, and then a car passes over here and it's in green as it goes by you, right? And they'll change once you create that space. That red box on that car in front of you turns to green to let you know that you've gotten the space you need.
Well, I'll tell you, we look at this technology, we're going to take the opportunity to take advantage of it, right? And to make sure and try new ideas, try new opportunities, and try new ways to find better, to be safe, right? And to make sure that, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do, and trying to implement some new ways to get better at what we do, and to allow that to go out. I'll tell you, when we talk about 149 and we reach the sesquicentennial mark, it is a genuine celebration, because you're looking at 5 solid months of doing a fantastic job of making sure that what you do out there on the road is phenomenal. And I know we look at the markers and we count them up, but every day has been a genuine success and been a fantastic testimony to how well you're doing out there on the road. Look, today's a day, today's an opportunity, and today's a chance to go one more 24-hour period. We can only do it today. And we talk about these things, and we get on the air, and we talk about safety every day, and it seems redundant, and it seems, like, how can you be passionate about that every single day on the show, and how can you talk about it and still bring it up? And I'm going to tell you, it becomes so important and so necessary in our lives that if I can sit here every day and I can talk to you about safety and bring safety to the forefront of what you do out there and help change that moment, that second in which you say, well, maybe I am a little bit too close, right? Or maybe I am driving a little bit too fast in the rain, or maybe I do need to slow down in the curve, or maybe I do need to, I know it's pouring down rain, but maybe I do need to get out and look. Maybe I do need, and you know what? If that is what's going on, I will be here every single day. I will make sure that we do what we can to show you we're willing to be in the trenches with you. We're willing to get out and look with you. We're willing to talk about it. We're willing to talk about it every day. And we're willing to make sure that we bring it to your attention, because we want you to change the way you think. We want you to change the way you believe in what's going on. If you truly believe that we're not driving too fast out there on the road when you see these videos, there's something wrong, because we see that all the time when we drive too close. When we see the person next to us driving too close. When we see the person in front of us driving too close. When we see the person behind us. When we see what's going on out there, we have to continue to work to make it better for everybody. And that means we have to do it all the time, right? Because if we let our guard down over and over and over, we as an industry won't get better. So as an industry, we have to continue to strive every day. And we're going to celebrate the successes on Thankful Thursday and every single day when we talk about our numbers, right?
Yeah. This is not a BCB war, right? It's an industry war that we have to wage and get safer out there, because let's face it doesn't matter who you drive for. When one truck driver has a fatal accident, they're all bad. That's the view and the perception of the public. And that's just not the case, as we've seen more and more states get behind the truck drivers and start arresting and writing tickets to the four-wheelers when they ride along and they see what these drivers have to get. But it doesn't change the perception. Just like drivers have a perception of reality, so does the American public, and we've got to change that as an industry. One company can't do it. It takes all of us together to do it.
And I truly believe, just when you talk about one company can't do it and one company can't, but what I truly believe is that we can change this industry one person at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We can strive to change one person at a time. And in order to do that, you have to buy into what we're talking about. You have to understand that this message, that this purpose is intentional and with reason. You have to believe that what's going on, and you have the ability today to make a difference. And you have to understand that's you. That's you out there every day, and that's every DM, that's every CSR, that's every owner, that's every single person has an opportunity today to make a genuine difference, to make it better. And you have to believe that. You have to actually, when you get behind the wheel, believe that you have a chance to change what's going to happen going forward. And we can do it one person at a time. We can get the word out. We can get the message out. We can find new ways to bring this information to every single driver. And we have to believe that in order to make a genuine change in this industry. And to do that, you are right. We are waging a war against, I would say, complacency.
Yes.
And our belief system that it is not us, that it is everybody else. Look, we all truly believe, every one of us believe we're a great driver. There isn't a four-wheeler out there on the road that doesn't think they're a great driver. Right. And you know what? 95% of the time, they are.
That's right.
Okay, but you know what? We have to be 100% of the time, and we can change the number of people that die every year.
Yes, absolutely correct. And, you know, I love the use analogy. It seems like we have a double standard. You know, in orientation, when I bring that up, I'll say, and you can pick any major city, Atlanta, Dallas, you would not go by yourself, unarmed, and walk the streets, right, at 1:30 a.m. Why? Because the numbers show that something bad's going to happen to you, right? But yet we share these numbers with like intersections, right? They're the most dangerous and deadliest place on the roadways. Yet people, you know, we see videos where others run the red lights, drivers roll through the stop sign, right? And it just happens to be the wrong place at the wrong time, and you don't get a second chance in some cases. And so it's like, why is there a double standard? If you know this information about 1:30 a.m. and these dangerous cities, and then we give you the stats and the statistics and the information on the intersections, on the lane changes, on the tailgating, right? And how all the bad things that can happen, you know, speeding and weather, then why don't you do it? Well, you seem to have a set of rules for this and part of your life, but you don't adhere to that same logic in driving.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Bob, and I think it's great, and what you're saying is true, but really we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to take away the denial of what's going on. Look, we've got a lot going on. Let's do some, let's come back in just a minute so Bob can do some traffic and weather.
Yeah. Hey, good morning and welcome back. We're going to do a quick little check, spot check on our traffic and some of the major hubs going on this morning. DFW area don't look too bad, except out here by Mesquite, right? I seen the LBJ. I had a couple accidents this morning on the 635, so must be right in around here at this 20 merger because you can see a lot of dark maroon there. But the rest of the loop looks like typical normal traffic in the DFW area. Fort Worth also looks pretty clear around the loop as well. So you should see minimal traffic delays if you're coming into the Dallas-Fort Worth area this morning. As we go to Kansas City, wow, Kansas City looks just great. I mean, there's just hardly any slowdown. So, you know, at the most, you might see a 10 to 15-minute slowdown in some very isolated areas. But the loops, everything looks good as you come into the Kansas City area this morning. And as we go to Chicago, you can see we got some rain up there, up north Chicago, and then coming back from the west as well. And just a few little bit of lingering showers there south of there. But the loop looks pretty decent for Chicago, right? The downtown area looks bad, but the loops all look pretty decent. You might see some spots where you might see a 15 to 20-minute delay, but most of it looks pretty good. This right here by Harvey and Calumet Park, you can see a little bit of a bottleneck there as you go into the downtown area, but the loops all look good. 355, 88, and even up here at 90 looks good as also. Hey, Philadelphia. Wow, Philadelphia don't look as bad as it has been. Still got a lot of congestion, but not quite as bad in at bigger areas. New Jersey looks much cleaner this morning as you come into the Philadelphia area. The loop, the 476, 276 all have some spots. You can see a good 30 to 40 minute back up here next by Upper Darby Township and then north of Philadelphia as well. As we get into the Atlanta area, wow, downtown's really messed up this morning. But again, reminder, you cannot go through the city on 20 unless you're delivering inside the loop. Otherwise, you must take the loop around, and it looks like it's pretty slow. You are going to run into some major traffic from the 20, 285, all the way around the North Loop to the other western side of Atlanta, and that merge as well. It's people coming in from the west. You've got some slowdown and then a little bit of congestion down here by the airport as well. Nashville looks not too bad. I mean, 24, not as bad as it usually is. And then again, just some areas right here. I've been on this interchange. It's a nightmare. You got 40, 24, and the loops all merging right around there in the Nashville area. And you can see a lot of red, so expect some delays. Please slow down and use some patience there. But the rest of the loop looks really good going around Nashville this morning. As we look into the Baltimore, D.C. area, Baltimore don't look too bad coming in from Philadelphia area, coming down and coming from the north. Just a little bit in Pikesville near that 795 merger. And then the 70 merger coming in looks like going out, has some big delays. And then down by the airport, Baltimore International, you can see some delay or some major backups coming out of there. Down in the D.C. area. The D.C. area, the loop looks really congested this morning. 95 loop to the east of Washington, D.C. and to the north. A little section here between 66 and the 495 up here and 270. You got a little bit of green there, but you can see a bunch of little red areas here. Probably got some construction and some pretty heavy commute traffic this morning as you go into the D.C. area. As we look at our weather, we got some rain last night in the DFW area, and it's pushed down to Houston. You can see St. Louis seeing some rain currently moving in as the Missouri and Arkansas state line. And then we saw that little blip in the Chicago traffic map. And then the big system's already pushed through Chicago and is now heading into Michigan. And the rest of the country looks pretty good. Wind has been the deal the last couple of days. And it looks like we get a little bit of a break. Let's see what it does this afternoon. And you can see it's moved up to the north. You're going to see some 20, 22 mile an hour gusts in New Mexico. But again, shouldn't be too bad for your Thursday. And as we drag this out into tomorrow, a little windier tomorrow in a bigger area, but not the real bad gusts. 33 in Dallas potential. 36 in North Platte. Remember, if it gets in the mid-30s to 40 gusts, you just got to slow it down to 55 miles an hour, and you should be fine. But it looks like we're going to get another good day as far as the wind. Now, the rain, also pretty dry. You got a little system coming in tomorrow. Let's see what it does today. There you go. You can see Houston area down in the Galveston. Some strong storms expected this afternoon around 4 p.m., and then we got a line stretching all the way from Arkansas up into Indiana and into Detroit. And yes, those are snowflakes moving into the Denver area. And again, the temperatures, let's see what temperatures are supposed to be. So 50 degrees. So that snow is going to be in the upper elevations. Obviously, it's not going to stick to 50 degrees. But you can look behind the cold front behind it. 37 in Salt Lake City at 4 p.m. Today. So going to be really chilly. I know we're supposed to get cooler this weekend as a front moves in as well late Friday. And it should be a beautiful weekend for like 70s, low 70s down in the Dallas area. So you can see this front's going to be moving through there. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m. So again, still 50, Salt Lake City 41. So it warms up a little bit from today. So, and there's no snow in the forecast. So, and you can see Detroit up there near Fort Wayne, Indiana. You're going to see some potential strong storms and just some scattered type storms through Nashville up into Kentucky in the Lexington area. And then St. Louis might see some lingering showers, and some rain moves into the Ohio Valley and Pennsylvania and West Virginia as well. So Hey, that's a quick look at our weather. We'll be right back with some safety.
Everybody, and welcome back on Thankful Thursday. It is Drive Safe Dave here, along with Buckle Up Bob. Bob, let's talk about safety topics and what we got focused on this week.
Yes, this week we've been talking about driving in adverse weather, right? We hit the snow, we hit the ice. Yesterday we talked about the rain. Today we're going to talk about visibility issues, and that's the fog, right? And oddly enough, there are annually about 600 deaths a year due to low visibility crashes. And there's 38,000 of those with over 16,000 injuries. So, hey, fog is real. Usually it's more prevalent usually around the fall and the spring as that big temperature shifts from the hot air of the summer into the cooler weather of the fall, and then vice versa, the cool winter spring air, and it gives way to the heat. You see that temperature fluctuation, and you see a lot of fog in them areas. So we're going to start. We'll start showing the fog map on the windy.com site here in the next week, and just kind of get back in the habit of showing, hey, here's some potential fog areas for everybody. But again, visibility requires slower speed, right? I mean, if you've got no visibility, have you ever been on a plane drive safe that actually had to land at a different airport because of visibility?
Yes, I have.
Me too. It's not fun.
I've actually had to take a load to a different place because the fog was so bad you couldn't get into the region and you didn't need to drive. Of all the things that I'm out there on the road that I've been driving in, I'll tell you that what really scary for me is fog. The one condition in which I'm like, when you can't see anything, it's like a blindfold over, and you're driving down the road with a blindfold, and it is absolutely the most scary situation. You don't know if somebody's pulled over, if somebody's stopped in the middle of the road, if somebody's pulled over on the shoulder. You don't have any idea because you can't see. And I'm talking, when you talk thick fog, you're talking danger. You need to get off the road because there's nothing there that's going to end well.
No.
It doesn't end well.
No. What's your typical get off the road? Less than a tenth of a mile, or?
When my believe it or not, it's just a moment when I can't see very far into my headlights. I mean, I can't even tell you. I'm going to say a truck length, and then I'm freaking out because you can't react and even if driving slower, now I'm worried about whether or not the guy behind me is driving the speed limit and I'm driving slower, or the person in front of me is completely. Yes. When you don't know any of those situations, that's when I bail. I get off, I pull exit as soon as I can, and I bail, and I don't. And you want to make sure you communicate that well to dispatch, because you don't want your fellow drivers flying into the same fog bank, because it can happen. And you want to make sure that we're all aware of it. But I'll tell you, fog's really, really scary. Yeah, and our drivers do a great job. And again, you bring a great point. And, we talk all the time about situational awareness. And so, things to remember. The situation changes when you go from the interstate to these rural highways, right? So what you can do on an interstate when traffic's going the same direction is a little bit different than when you get on 287 going to Colorado and it's coming at you and you can't see. You don't know if somebody's going to do something stupid about passing a truck in fog. We've seen it happen. So very dangerous. And you bring a great point. Fog is, when you can't see, there's just an uneasy feeling in there. Bad. It's scary. It's scary. All right. Hey, we've got a few videos to look at this morning. This first one, says we got some good speed and space as this OV changes lanes.
Another one coming on side. And woo! See, there's no braking. Did you see any brake lights go on there when that happened?
Oh no, he had that. He was timing that out just so that. Yeah, he was.
He did turn his signal on.
There's a brake.
Oh,
light.
there's a brake for that car.
Right in front of us.
Gotcha. Yeah, very critical. And again, this is what's really neat when you get to see these on those new AI cameras.
See this. Every driver out there will see this today.
Yeah. Hey, believe it or not, watch this truck kind of weave and drift, right? And what you're going to see is it did it earlier, but truck rolled over, you know. We had, again, this was in Clinton, Oklahoma.
Wind?
Yep. We had drivers shut down one day for about 5 or 6 hours just because there was 97-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So, again, wind is kind of that silent killer, it can be, right? Because you just don't see it. You can feel it, but it's out there and it's real. And so we do a great job at checking out the wind maps on windy.com. Again, those are forecasted, but when you zoom in and you click on the right icon, it gives you the current wind conditions, usually within a 20 to 30-mile window of what the last highest gust was reported. And here's a repercussion of that if you don't slow down. Here's next one. Lane change starts good, waits too long. You know, is there some distraction going on here? You know, it's at night. Again, you're looking at, you know, I'm sorry, it's in the morning, early morning hours. So, again, you always wonder, you know, all the things that come to mind. We talked about sleep inertia, where you're awake, but you're not awake. You're not really all that alert. So you kind of always want to wonder, hey, know your situation, right? Again, situational awareness, and it's realize that you're going to need extra time to react. Maybe take, instead of 3 seconds, maybe take 4 or 5 to make that lane change so that you get a clear picture of what's going on. As you see, the Jersey barrier, you got nowhere to go once you get over here on the left. Next one, again, you know, kind of the same potential thing. Again, wait just a little bit too long to make the lane change. I know this looks like a lot of space, folks, but this is 1 second. After watching some of the AI camera footage, this is less than 1 second. So again, it takes you over 2 seconds to assess and apply the brake. So you will travel 2 seconds before you even begin to slow down. So we got to increase that distance to allow for that decision-making process to take place. Here again, got some weather. You can see a little bit of visibility issues, but not too bad because the traffic's not moving for the spray. But just a great job at keeping the space, right? If somebody wants to come over, they can safely do so. And I like all the other trucks around it too, right? They're all keeping space as well.
Yeah, they're all doing a great job.
Except for that guy.
Everybody, well, that's not probably not a commercial driver,
No.
but all these truck drivers right here are doing a fantastic job. Not only our view, but look at every driver has got great space in every situation. Good
Nicely
stuff.
done, drivers. Oh man, this last one, you know, we just talked about it a little bit. You just can't have this happen, right? It's red. It's red. Stop. Don't do it. Right? So again, and then it turns green. Don't know what this driver was thinking, so we got to get some more information on this. But whatever it was the wrong thing, right? Drive safe?
Absolutely. You got to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
You got to watch those traffic signals. You know, I think what we've done here is we lost focus on what was going on and paying attention to the vehicles and not paying attention to the traffic signal.
Yep.
And seeing this turn and thinking that you have and you don't. I think we missed it.
And you see this this vehicle on the right here who brakes right before getting into that intersection. It was very close to being an accident. If you take a look right here on the right-hand side, a vehicle approaches and has to stop right there.
Like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm green and you're running a red light.
Yep.
So, absolutely can't have that, folks out there. Do we have anybody, producer?
Yeah, we got David Mason on the line. What do you got for us, sir?
What's up, David?
Hey, good morning. 2 things. Was that one in Chicago in the rain? Was that mine?
Yes,
I don't know
sir.
if you have a list. Okay, I thought that looked like, I was like, that looks like me yesterday. Yeah, it was raining pretty good through there. The other thing I was going to add, just to remember in the winter time when it's foggy, fog is moisture. and it can freeze on the road. So not only in the winter will you have the visibility issues, but you can also have the traction issues with fog.
Freezing fog's horrible.
Oh, yes.
I've had that plenty of times. It is horrible. I can't stand it.
Nothing worse when you don't know whether it's wet or ice.
Thank you very much. No, that's a great point, and you know when we talk about that, but good video up there in Chicago, keeping your spacing. Who else you got?
Yeah, we got Lonnie Payne on the line. What you got for
What's
us?
going on,
Mr.
Lonnie?
Payne?
Morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Hey, Lonnie. Good morning.
What's up with you?
That first video, that was mine. The guy was, it was a lot closer than it looked, just from watching it, but it was one of those classic deals where the guy on the left was going to go across all 3 lanes and hit the exit. And I seen him, coming up, and I seen him put on the signal, and I was like, uh-oh. But what he couldn't see was a guy flying up on the right side of me, and the guy on the right didn't see him either. And it was almost really bad there for a second. And I called Dale and talked to him about it because it was a lot closer than, and all that took place at 70 miles an hour. So
Yes.
they were actually doing more than that. I mean, they were flying. So it was pretty bad. But I told Dale, that's one of them situational awareness deals is neither one of them could see each other because of me in the center there, but I could see both of them. So I could see what was fixing to happen there and was already on the brakes, backing out, trying to figure out, if they collide, what's going to be my best out here. And luckily it didn't happen, but boy, it woke you up. I told Dale that, it just goes to show that you can be minding your own business perfectly fine, and all of a sudden it's not perfectly fine anymore. So there's something to keep in mind there. Y'all have a good day.
Hey, Lonnie, real quick before you go, how many of those do you see genuinely every single day out there on the road, coming across and exiting around a big truck, pulling right in front of them and trying to make that exit instead of waiting until the big truck passes and exiting? How many of those do you think you see a day on average?
I'd say at least 4 or 5.
Exactly.
But what made that one stand out though is, as soon as I seen him and realized what he was doing, I immediately looked in my right mirror because I already knew there's another car coming.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? He can't see this guy. This is about to be ugly.
Yeah. And right in front of him.
Luckily, luckily it all played out okay for us. Good Lord was looking out for us. But y'all have a good day.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. We talk a lot about, what people don't realize is that trailer blocks the view from certain angles.
Absolutely.
And great situational awareness.
No, I was just going to say, Bob, that's what I was trying to make the point of, is that these guys and these gals out there doing this every single day see this happen multiple times a day, this very same scenario, and they live out these scenes every single day. This is a true to life scene that we talk about it, exiting at the last minute, going around what four-wheelers consider an obstacle, and that's a truck. And we see that a lot. Dylan, did you have somebody else that you had?
Yeah, we got Curtis Benedict. What do you got for us?
What's up, Curtis?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Bob, I sent you a video this morning about 5 a.m. I was being passed in a no passing zone in the middle of town over here by Davenport, Iowa. And it just burns my chops because I know that there's nobody out on the roads, but you never know who gets up early to get out and go for a walk or go for a jog. Could have been crossing the street, and this guy's passing me. And, stuff like that just burns my chops, man. So, anyways,
you
guys
we'll have that
take
on
a
the show
look at
tomorrow.
it if you want.
Hey, Curtis, let me ask you a quick question. We got you on the air. You saw that video where Lonnie, where they were passing, going around us on the outside lane and then hitting the exit. How many times do you see that a day?
I'm going to have to probably agree with Lonnie, probably 3 to 4 times a day. They just don't want to be behind a truck to get off at an exit. And it's like, you sped up to pass me to put my life in danger, your life in danger, and everybody else that's around us just to hit that exit when you could have just stayed behind me, waited one more second, and you still could have done it safely.
1 second.
So,
you and I both agree.
Yep.
They're only saving about a second, right?
Yep, that's all they're saving.
Hey, Curtis,
So,
should we add a line on the pre-trip notes that have you packed your patience for today?
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause it seems like you guys, your patience out there has to be tried more than 3 to 4 times a day, I would bet, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sure it just depends on how a person sleeps, what the weather's
yes.
like, how they wake up, how they interact with other people right off the bat in the morning. All determines whether you're going to have a good day or a bad day. Yesterday was one of those days where I wasn't really having a bad day, but I could tell that I was in a really poopy mood, as you could say. And
Big word.
but yeah, and you just when you feel that, and I was feeling it yesterday, and it could have very easily, I could have had a lot of road rage going on yesterday, but that's just something that you have to work on. You have to realize that you're having a bad day, and then you have to work on yourself to make sure that you're doing the safest thing as you're driving down the road. And when you feel that slipping away, as you say, Dave, you just got to get off the road, figure it out, slow down the chaos, get rid of the anger, get you a bite to eat or something, and heck, maybe even just go to sleep or something. But yeah, it's one of those things that we probably should put on the pre-trips is, did you pack your patience?
Absolutely. And you know what?
So,
it's a great point. And I just wanted to bring to light that some of these videos that we see every day that out there on the road, I will tell you that probably 10 times out on a 500-mile run, probably every 50 miles, 10 times, I do a shake my head.
Yes.
You just shake my head. With that, Bob, go ahead and close us out with a quick prayer so we can get out of here.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much for your son, Jesus. And Lord, you promise that let us hold fast to that confident hope in you that, you fulfill your promises. You've fulfilled every one, and we look forward to the day when you fulfill the one where you say, you will come back and get us so that we will always be where you will be. Lord, we look forward to that day. We look forward to your continued protection for our drivers, Lord, all drivers. The industry, Lord, the industry needs your help in protecting and granting each man and woman driver out there the ability to make life-saving decisions, right? Lord, we need that, and we need your wisdom and guidance to do that. Heavenly Father, protect them and their families as they go through. And again, keep your loving arms around our dear brother Larry Graham as he battles this horrible disease. It's in your son's name we pray these things. Amen.
All right, everybody. Hey, be safe. And remember, today is Thankful Thursday. We thank you for what you're doing. Be careful out there. All right, hey everybody, and welcome back to BCB. I've got a special interview today. It's Donald Scott. Donald Scott, you, sir, have been awarded Driver of the Month, which Christy announced, last week, right, Dylan? So here we are. It is Thankful Thursday, and we wanted to make sure we wanted to get with you and wanted to talk with you and wanted to kind of get a little bit about what's going on with you. I know you're at home at Walmart. Aren't you at Walmart?
Yes, sir. I'm out in the parking lot now.
I called him.
We just had to make a fast trip down to Florida and come back. So it's been a rough week.
Roller coaster ride. I will